me alive. Sits hum deep like a heartbeat pulse. Electro dreams where we are lost. Neon waves take us back in time.
Welcome, everybody. It's your boy, Versace's Down. We're in a special episode of VSW Podcast. Today, we got the one and only Zoey Cannon. Welcome.
Hello.
I have to say, the first time, and I remember the match, I think it was Creamcast, down at it was a Focus Pro Stand Style show. My good friend Tony Spencer brought me out there, and he came to see you, and he was like, "You got to see Zoey Cannon wrestle." But I ended up, actually falling in love with the whole show, and seeing Stan was one of my favorite moments too, because I'm a huge Stan fan, and I always wanted to get to Jersey, but it's another story. But I have to say, I was just super excited that whole show, and you had one of the star matches.
Thank you. Can you see me? I can't see me.
No, I cannot. It's just black screened.
Oh, what am I doing? Let's see here. Nope, still not working. Hold on 1 second. Nope, it is not working for me.
But we can hear you.
Yes, you can. Yes, so that particular show was a ton of fun. I had such a great time. That was at Focus Pro. That was actually my first show that I performed in Massachusetts.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So let me backtrack a little bit. Oh, Victor, you are here. This is my other co-host, Victor Sin. And his lovely co-host. But let me ask you, what now you trained out in, if I'm correct, like the New Yorkish area, the tri-state area?
A little bit south. I originally trained in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is like a south central Pennsylvania area. But I have wrestled in New York.
Okay. And that seems to be like another we got a lot of, Massachusetts, we obviously got a lot of wrestling. I see like the Pennsylvania area, it's got a lot of wrestling out there. You have a lot of great names out there that work, the Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York line, kind of do that little triangle out that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's quite a few schools between here and Jersey, and then all throughout New York and everything. You have Create a Pro out of, I believe it's Long Island. You have the Worldwide Dojo in Bristol, Pennsylvania, that's run by Cheeseburger. There's so many great places, and then each particular school always pumps out some of the best students that you've seen all up and down the East Coast.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No, I know Create a Pro because you get the big names. I just actually was told today, I found out late last night, MJF's actually coming back to Maine. But
I just saw that.
Right? He's probably one of Create a Pro's most notorious names. But you got a whole bunch of other people out there. Shook Crew, all these guys and girls that came. One of my favorite, Gabby Forza.
Mm-hmm.
All
Akira.
coming out of there.
Akira.
I don't know if he does Focus Pro. Let me ask you, which school did you end up starting training at, Zoey?
Well, when I was in Massachusetts, I was at Top Rope Pro in Fall River, and I was there for just a little bit. I got to learn a lot of the basic concepts of wrestling. I had quit there and moved down to Pennsylvania, and then I started training at Three Legacies Wrestling.
When you were at the Top Rope, it was past when Spike ran it, I take it?
Yes. It was owned by someone else at that point.
Yeah, because prior Spike ran it, which he's a great trainer. I love Spike Dudley. I think he's trained a lot of some of the greatest names we got up there today. He's put his mark on them.
I'm sure he did.
We did. Look at AG. Look at
Sure he did.
No, I'm telling you. Look at Little Mean Kathleen. She's like a female version of Spike Dudley.
So when I trained at Top Rope, I believe I trained on my first day was on the same beginning day of Little Mean Kathleen and Becca.
Oh,
So I got to meet them. I loved watching them just absolutely flourish in professional wrestling. I still see Becca all the time, just posting up the wildest things on Instagram.
oh yeah. I mean, she's been into the music industry, high life, Hollywood.
Yeah, she could do it all.
Doing it all everywhere. Um, but no, I mean, has wrestling always been something you've been into? Like growing up, were you into like watching WWE or like TNA or stuff?
Oh yeah, growing up, wrestling would usually be on the TV because one of my brothers would probably put it on, and I'd watch it, and I always wanted to be just like Undertaker because I thought he was so cool. Then I got a little bit older, I didn't watch it as much, and I kind of went back and forth in and out of it for a while. And then when I got into my mid 20s, I actually didn't know up until then that you could go to a pro wrestling school and that they existed. I just thought WWE called someone up and was like, "Hey, we like you. Come work for us." Because it just never occurred to me. So
No, not me. I got crushed after high school. I knew I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I went to Killer Kowalski school and they told me I was too small. Maybe I'd be good for a ref. Little did they know, like 20 years later, my size would be a good demo for an indie wrestler. Back then, they wanted big, large, Hogan style people.
Yeah. But when you applied, were you on your knees?
Maybe.
I mean, that's your difference. Hearing all the corruption at WWE.
I wanted nothing more. I mean, when we after high school, me and my friends all through high school, we were just saturated with WWE and more so even ECW because ECW hit the scene. Some of us would just travel out to PA just on a whim. And we would start to do our own shit. We'd be beating the shit out of each other with, barbed wire, bats, whatever it was that we could find and scavenge around. Then we got into the Japanese scene. You'd see these explosion matches, and we would try to mimic some of that stuff, not with explosives, but we would, mimic some of the hardcore. I had a friend that was a perfectionist at jumping through tables. He broke almost every table in the cafeteria by going through them. Wrestling was a huge part of my high school. Like, it's like everybody, either you were into wrestling or you just weren't. And if you weren't, then you were kind of much cooler at the time. We were all considered losers. We sat at our own table. We were the losers club. But every time somebody would fuck with us, we'd just get up and say, "Suck it." And you know what? People would cheer. No, it was. It was wild back then. 2001 was crazy. There was no standards like public schools today. You could do whatever you want. Like, I remember one time this kid, my friend was getting bullied. He lured him into another room and hit him over the head with a steel chair like he was fucking Mick Foley. Without a care in the world. And then the kid comes staggering out like 5 minutes later. Teacher's like, "What happened?" He's like, "Kid hit him with a chair." Nothing even came of it. Today, they would have been like, detectives and stuff. It's crazy. But that's what I grew up, the madness. Just wrestling was always something that was just, madness. It wasn't supposed to be something that's perfect. It wasn't supposed to be something that was cinema. It wasn't supposed to be something that was supposed to be something that's just crazy, chaotic, and wild. I think wrestling's changed over the years, definitely. What it is, what it's become, what it wants to be.
It definitely has.
Some for the better, some for the worst. I always have a love-hate relationship with wrestling because it's something that always pulls out my childhood strings, but then something will come up in the real world of wrestling that's not part of the wrestling world, but has
about the
involved.
money that Focus Pro and Limitless ripped you off on and not doing their part of the deal.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking like you see real incidents take place.
Yeah, but you're talking about wrestling not being as it used to be. I'm just saying that, that's where it is.
Yeah, once I turned myself from becoming a fan and trying to run it as a business, the whole thing changed. It didn't become as fun anymore. regardless if I got ripped off or not, it just wasn't fun because I made it into something that felt more like a job. And in that case, it was a job in my own head because nobody cared if I went to a show or not. They still don't. It was just me wanting to think I was bigger, covering something. I enjoy sitting from my house talking to great guests like Zoey without having to go to a show. I can support through IWTV if I wish, or I can go to see MJF and fucking if I want, and I might just do that too.
I'd rather spend $1,000 on this cameo than support anything from Limitless Wrestling. After what they did,
I know you don't like Limitless, but
they
I
ripped
like
you off so many times. The Rumble last year. Do we forget about that?
Okay, yes, but it's MJF, man. That was the whole reason
Just
I started
MJF.
watching. That's the whole reason I started watching AEW was MJF. Whole reason I even started watching indie wrestling was MJF. There was not a better heel out there than MJF. Everybody was like titterline, yet he's dropping the hard R word to people.
Is that a challenge?
I'm just saying.
I'm just
Find
saying.
another.
It's a
When
challenge.
he first hit the scene, MJF would ridicule people to the point the kids were crying, and that made me happy.
I miss seeing him back in June, and I'm so mad about it. So
Right.
I also work for Major League Wrestling, and he was one of the people that I didn't even know was supposed to be there up until show day. And I work as the stage director currently, so it would have been my job to get him from probably his car into the building without anyone seeing, get him to a secluded location, and do whatever they would need me to do. But I just had ACL surgery, so I wasn't at that show. So I'm watching it on TV or my phone, and then I see him come out, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I could have been there. I could have been doing my job and seen him, but I didn't.
It's one of those things like, oh, this is the day I was supposed to be at work.
Yeah, the one day you call out. I just had to have surgery.
Yeah, but
And
don't you
put-
think promoters should be in shape? You know, it's at least somewhat. So if like any issues in the ring or anything, they can jump in and help because they're the person in charge of the shows.
Sometimes, but that's why they pay me, so I can run in and do it.
Oh yeah, still, but someone like you should not be, running in and picking up fumbles from a fat fuck like Randy Carver.
Oh, come on, Vic. Just be nice about things. What
Be
it
nice.
is,
Be nice. Be
what
nice.
it is,
For everything he's done to us. Be nice.
it doesn't matter. It's not about that. Tonight's not even about that. Tonight's talking with Zoey. You want to do an episode on that? You can do that next week. Tonight's about Zoey. And
Christmas is next week.
next week, fuck Christmas. I would rather do wrestling interviews than Christmas. I don't even celebrate Christmas.
Tell our kids that.
You really want to know how you get those views, don't you?
I think Beyond Wrestling might be having a show on Christmas.
I loved it Beyond Wrestling. I miss actually Restival because it gave us people that don't really like to celebrate holidays and a reason to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I hated that they didn't do that, but now Beyond is even different. It's more Wrestling Open, I think, and they do run their major show, but they're known mostly for the Wrestling Open program.
Yeah.
Which, when I first got into watching, it was all about uncharted territory.
Yep. I was around and helping out with their ring crew for Uncharted Territory. I believe it was season 1 or 2. And that, that was back in the day.
It was.
Yeah. And that was such a good time because you followed these storylines throughout and you just wanted to be at every single show and you wanted to see how each one of these matches, like how that went from one show into the next. But I know they don't do Uncharted Territory anymore, which is unfortunate because it was a really good thing. But I know that Wrestling Open, from what I know, because I haven't been on it, is more of a platform for people to come in and really show what they have. So even if the owner has no idea who you are, like he doesn't necessarily know how I wrestle, that's one way in which he can see. So maybe one day I could be on one of those bigger shows like the New Year's Eve show or even American Rana, which is their big event of the year.
Yeah. You know, I do like the fact that Wrestling Open has given an opportunity to a lot of the indie stars in the area that, you know, they were in promotions, but they weren't on necessarily IWTV promotions. So they
Mhm.
weren't getting the extra exposure. And it has launched a lot of people's careers and gotten them noticed to get picked up by other promotions and get, you know, all the way, you know, wherever they want to go. Which is really cool. Uncharted Territory was something different. That was a different period for me in wrestling. I was still in the dream state life, but you had, you know, going to these shows, you would see people like Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander and all these people that you knew were larger and on bigger to better things. And it was just a wild to see it all because you're seeing it at, first of all, a fraction of the cost. I had just gotten into indie wrestling, so I didn't even know what I was expecting. I was still expecting what I expected in the 90s, a bunch of old people that had worn out gimmicks or a fake Doink the Clown. And they were just coming, you know, with one ex WWE guy. And that's all that was there. And now, you know, flash forward 30 years later, I'm seeing people with character. I'm seeing real characters, people with their own gimmicks. WWE is non-existent in
What are
their
you talking
world
about?
now.
That was the last PWO event in Brattleboro. A fake doink and a fucking WWE legend.
Yeah, but my first indie show wasn't like that. I went to Beyond. That's a real fucking promotion. I mean, they're probably the number one promotion in New England, followed by Limitless if you want to go by numbers. I know you don't like the guy, but Randy runs number 2, and Focus Pro is number 3.
And I'm impressed how fucking what? Who the fuck cares?
I'm just saying, if you want to rank them,
I'll see you in the dark side of the ring when they're fucking when the skeletons of your cemetery comes out.
You'll see. Okay, wait till you have to pay the karma back for those views.
If you're looking for a good spin-off of Doink the Clown, one of the best things I've seen as of late is Dank the Clown.
Really?
Oh, he is amazing. I saw him at Fight Life, actually, and that was in Rehoboth, Mass. And Dank the Clown fought, I believe it was Ariel. And what a gimmick. That was so
fun.
funny.
With the name
Dank. The guy can really wrestle.
That's great. I love that kind of stuff. I love when people take old stuff twisted a little bit. But what the point I was trying to make is that when I stepped back into the wrestling, because I too took a lot of time off after high school and being rejected, I went into other things. I went into boxing. I went into other film adventures, did virtual VFX stuff. I did all this other stuff. It was a different world. There was real people there, real characters, and real storylines that were interesting. And the appeal was it was a fraction of the cost. I could pay $20 and go see a show front row rather than, you know, $700, $800. And I would have just as fun, if not a better time, because it's more intimate. You're seeing and meeting the people afterwards. You're getting autographs. It was very dreamlike, almost, you know, like a fairy tale. But I loved it. I soaked it up, and then the most unfortunate thing, but fortunate thing happened, the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
It shut everything down, but it gave me a voice. It gave me my podcast, and it helped me. It helped me learn the wrestling world, because what happened was I was able to go back to the shows that now I'm trying to like gain knowledge on. And then when wrestling came back, it was on a cinematic format kind of where they were doing these weekly episodes. So you could kind of follow along really well. 3 or 4 matches. I know Limitless did The Road, Beyond did Masterclass, NCW had one, Behind Closed Doors. Proving Ground then came out and started running pay-per-views. Yes.
I don't mean to be rude. I'm gonna have to excuse myself because I just saw a post from an independent wrestler that just makes me feel like the whole fucking industry is just a piece of shit. I will explain to you later. But
yeah,
for me to be polite,
you're more than welcome.
I gotta go because I saw this. Because this is a new. We talked about how some people claim they have cancer. This beats that.
Okay.
So I just gotta cool off.
I appreciate you, Vic, for being the better man and not taking it onto the show. And we will talk about this later. Thank you.
Zoey, happy holidays.
Oh, you too.
Sorry about that. I think you got to understand, in the wrestling world, as you know, it's not the best of places, because you do have a lot of people that, especially when you're a podcaster, we get taken advantage of, just like the talent might.
Oh, yeah.
You go to a show sometimes and you You know, you said your rate was 60 and they only give you 40 or 30. Same thing with podcasts. We might make a deal. Somebody will charge us a certain amount of money to come on the show, and then they don't show. They take the money and run.
Oh, that's terrible.
Sometimes we sponsor shows. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes we don't get what we paid for. We don't get it. And there's really no recourse. There's nothing you can kind of do with that. It's just the way it is. You kind of move on with it. Victor has had a worse time than I have had. And it's kind of unfortunate because it does kind of put this negative stigma, and you got to kind of look past that because it's not the same for everywhere. It's not every promotion the same. If there's certain promotions that you want to avoid it because there's plenty of promotions you can follow. You just mentioned Fight Life. Fight Life's a great promotion. I've never heard any negativity. Focus Pro, I love Focus Pro. I've gone probably to almost every show since that show that I saw you at there, just because I fell in love with that atmosphere. I love that whole bar vibe, the revolving kind of fandom. You get your hardcore fans, and then you get all these bar fans around, and it's great to see that.
Well, something that I have discovered in my travels of doing this for a little while is that some of the fans, like each company and each set of fans, and even each venue, can always just differentiate just that little bit more from someone else. So like when you're in New York, they have an athletic commission, so you cannot do certain things. You can't hit the barricades. You can't fight into the crowd. You can't use certain weapons. And that's just part of their commission. So I, as the worker, I have to wrestle maybe a little bit differently. So if there's something that I would normally do that goes against the commission, it's not going to work out as well. Now, if I take that same idea in New York and I go from one promotion to another, and that fan base is now going from, a VFW hall to maybe a bar, or maybe a bigger arena or something like that, it's always going to change. But I like the very intimate kind of settings as far as wrestling goes, because I can get with the fans just a little bit easier from when I'm wrestling. So like Focus Pro, perfect example. That was at the Widowmaker Brewery in Braintree. Yep. And I had never been there before. But I walk in and you see the bar and you see the tables and everything. And I know that people are going to be sitting down and enjoying themselves. Then I see where the ring is and I'm like, this is really cool. Like it's right there, this whole dinner and a show kind of an idea. And, where we walk out and then we wrestle and then like maybe we go through the crowd or whatever. I went into that match with Stan Styles, not really knowing what I was going to do or what was going to happen, but I knew I was going to have a good time because it's my job to interact with the fans as well. So if I see you in the crowd and I know that like you're having a great time, I'm probably going to try to talk to you while I'm in the ring. And I'm probably going to, pick on you if I'm the bad guy or whatever it is. But I'm going to interact with you because this is an experience just for you. And that's actually why the pandemic was so difficult for any professional wrestler, because who are we wrestling for? It doesn't matter if I'm wrestling personally for, 14 people or 14,000 people, because I'm doing it for the fans. But if there's no one there and I don't have an audience and I don't have anyone to, send my match to, then what am I doing this for? But yeah,
no, it's true.
It was amazing. I loved it over there.
It's true though, and but the pandemic taught me, like I said, a lot. I saw some of my greatest matches, that I enjoyed watching because I saw a lot of wrestlers go. You mentioned Becca earlier. She grew tremendously from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic. She's a totally different person. People like Love Dog transformed, changed their, worked their gimmick and made themselves, known and put themselves over and got them where they needed to be. So, when the pandemic was over, a lot of these wrestlers, similar to myself, I was a bat out of hell. I traveled everywhere. I went all over Jersey. I went to a few shows down there. Funny, I did go to one New York show, and I say, what show did I go to? The XPW return. And what a stupid state to have it in with a commission. The first match with Schlack, first second, he gets a chair thrown at him. He bleeds. The commissioner comes in, stops the match. I'm like, what is this? And then someone's like, oh yeah, this is New York, you can't bleed over here. And I'm just like, who would put an XPW show in New York and why?
Oh, there's other places that are a little bit stricter. Like for Major League Wrestling, we just did our last show in South Carolina, in Charleston, South Carolina. And I remember going over all of the athletic commission rules there because there's bound to be one. Like for some states, you would actually, whether you're a wrestler or a referee, if you are in the ring, you need to actually have a license.
Yeah, not Massachusetts. You can come in
No,
and just jump in.
Massachusetts is a free for all.
You
But
could just come over here and watch YouTube and be a wrestler.
oh yeah. But like so like some states you do need a license, but for South Carolina in particular, because I had never worked there, some of the athletic commission rules are you can't bleed, which is a common one. You cannot swear or use bad language.
Fair enough, though. It's a kid-friendly crowd.
I mean, for any promotion though, so not just Major League, so like any promotion, you cannot swear or use bad language. Now, I don't know if this athletic commission has ever been to a pro wrestling show before, but
how do you? Yeah, I mean, I can see
swear.
certain shows, but certain shows it's all adults, and even if the wrestlers aren't swearing, the fans are going to start, and if the fans don't, then
Exactly. Now, this doesn't whatever fans do.
no, you
but
got to
for
have
the wrestlers
self-control, though.
themselves, it really challenges you as a worker to work with all of these different limitations. So, you know, for example, I can't bleed. All right, that's fine. I can't swear and I'm the bad guy. Okay, well, now I have to think of other things to call my opponent. I can't use certain weapons. I can't, you know, if my gimmick included me drinking alcohol, I can't drink alcohol on stage or something like that. So it really limits you to what you could freely do and challenges you to take what you have and turn it into a brand new concept. There's other states that like you can't do certain moves there. I can't remember which one, but someone had once told me that like you can't do, I think it was a tombstone in one of the states. And, you know, if that's someone's finisher, that could, you know, really kind of sway one way or the other. But it just challenges you to take these
Maybe that's why WWE said no pile drivers, so they could just go anywhere.
Yeah, it's hard, but
you have to be up with those rules because you can get fined hefty, and that could kill the whole promotion right there. I mean, the fines itself would put you in the negative. But you as the worker, like you said, you're responsible for knowing all the rules of conduct when you step into that ring.
yeah, and if you're working with a good promotion that also has all of their ducks in a row, then they are going to, you know, tell their agents who then tell the wrestlers, hey, this is what you can do, what you can't do.
Oh yeah, I mean MLW isn't like an indie. I mean, some people say it's indie, but I would say if it's indie, it's like that high tierish indie. I would say it's more national than not. And with that being said, you know, you would think with them they would probably tell you, you know, this is what you can kind of get away with because doesn't it get televised or it gets streamed?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I mean, I know well in advance what state we're going to, and then I have to look up what the commission rules are anyway. But there are some places that either have absolutely no rules or some that have like the strictest rules.
But yeah, I mean, you get out your way, like you can go to Jersey and do it fucking forever. You can fight on glass, doesn't matter.
Jersey is bananas when it comes to pro wrestling. There are some matches that I have seen, whether it's live or on film, that happened in Jersey, and I'm just like, yep, that is definitely Jersey.
That was my favorite place to go in 21. I just kept going out there. I went to Ridgemont Field. I kept going to like, what else did I go to? I went to one GCW show, which was just wild. I got to see Nick Gage versus Moxley. But then I went to like, what was it? VXS, which was a wild show. I went to the IWTV 100. I went to Camp Leapfrog a few times, which was a lot of fun. They had a lot of the Chikara people there.
I am waiting to go to a GCW show. Like, I really want to go. As of right now, my schedule just doesn't line up with any show dates that they have. But I've always wanted to go because it's one of those things where it's like, you gotta go. If you like pro wrestling, you gotta go because it brings it to such an extreme that you're either going to really love it or really hate it. And most of the time, you're really going to love it.
Yeah, like even if you grew up with ECW, it's like ECW times 500 because now you know, first of all, it's in Jersey most of the time. Other times they do it in states that they can do shit. When they go to New York, it's very clean, but when they go to the states that they can wrestle, they bring it, and they bring everything that they can bring. And there's swearing, there's violence, there's everything that you could expect in an adult wrestling show. But it's done with professionalism too, which is the wild part. You would think something like that might look backyardish or might look ridicule or whatever, and it's like it's done with the most professionalism. It's like, well, wow, this is like just this is like WWE with ultra violence.
And I used to say, like, way back in the day, that I would never ever do a death match because that's not the wrestling that I want to do. And that might be true. Like, I don't want to potentially get very hurt if I do something wrong, but the people that are doing these death matches generally know what they're doing.
They look like they're having fun. They all look like they enjoy it. That's
that's so true. They really do look like they're having fun, and they want to be there. And like, I don't personally, as me, I don't know how to properly hit someone with, a giant light tube that isn't going to kill them or myself, because it's just not something I've ever experienced.
For me, the Legos. I mean, I've stepped on Legos. They hurt enough.
Oh God, that's terrible.
The backdrop to the Legos would be devastating.
Oh, but yeah, doing things like that, I probably won't ever do a death match. It's just not in. I don't have anything lined up for it at the moment. But if it were to ever happen, cool. And anyone that originally started as a backyard wrestler, so many props to them. I could never do that and do it well.
But well. The difference, I think, a lot of people back then is that there wasn't as many schools. There definitely was not as many schools, and you had to know somebody. And then what happened was there's a lot of backyards, and then promoters would go around to these backyards and pick students and home train them and train them themselves and bring them in and teach them the ropes, and people would learn as they go. And is this the best way to get into wrestling? No, I don't recommend anybody going in untrained. I don't recommend anybody going in knowing what you know in the backyard. I think you should go through a school, at least get looked at or viewed by a trainer that says, hey, you're clear to wrestle. I think that's the safe way to go. But I've seen all likes of wrestlers. I've seen people that were trained 30 years ago and haven't stepped back foot in the school, and they still say they're good to go. But I mean, it's something about the backyard. I think that it seasons people to be able to kind of do these more riskier stunts or these more riskier moves, because they were doing it outside anyways with the most rawest conditions. So now when they get to do it with like the right conditions in a ring, it's like easy peasy.
It's kind of, in my opinion, like night and day between backyard wrestling and then in-house training. You learn most of the same concepts and ideas. They're just usually executed and trained differently. Everyone will eventually learn a front roll and a back roll and how to throw a punch and how to do an up and over and all these other different moves. But backyard wrestling, in my opinion, just sounds way more freeing to any particular person, because you don't necessarily have a regimen of like, okay, we're going to work out, we're going to stretch, we're going to learn how to do this, we're going to go over rolls and bumps. You just kind of do it.
And just everybody shows up and goes
to do that.
And I've seen groups like that. I've been part of groups with that. I've helped organize groups. I've helped film groups. I've helped promote groups like that. I don't find the word backyard to be shameful. I just think that it's just a different form of wrestling, as long as people are safe. As long as at the end of these shows there isn't 5 or 6 concussions and people getting broken bones, then I don't see the real issue. Like I said, safety should be the number one factor in all of this, and then secondary should be entertainment. You want it to be entertaining and fun, but you also want it to be very safe and no one to actually get hurt. Because obviously a wrestling injury affects your real work injury and vice versa, and it's a good balance there because no one's really doing the indie scene full time.
Correct. And if they are doing the indie scene full time, then I hope that they are working as safely as possible.
Well, that's the other thing. Then if you're
That'll
doing
get
it full time, then it's even harder if you get injured because you don't have that workman's comp or anything like that. You're out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got injured the month before my actual debut for pro wrestling, and I hurt my knee, and I didn't know what I did. I just know that my knee really hurt, and I kind of was limping for a little bit. I still debuted. I still worked a bunch of shows. I still trained as much as I could. And then 2 years later, I hurt my right knee doing an up and over at training. And again, I didn't know what I did, but I knew that it felt and sounded the same way that I hurt my left knee. And I've been working on this left knee and that one was fine, but now my right knee really hurts. I end up going to the doctor. They said, yep, you completely tore your right ACL. I tell them about my left one. They check that, MRI said that I broke that one too. So I had to have surgery on my right one. So I was out for not as long as my doctors wanted me to be out for. Everyone was asking me, oh, you're cleared? And I'm like, yup. It just wasn't cleared on paper, but I was fine. But I just kind of wrapped up my knee and just said, all right, get back in. Cause there's no stopping at this point. I can't take a bunch of time off. I think I was only out of work for maybe 2 weeks from the day of surgery because I had to get back to work and I had to get back in the ring and I had to get back to regular wrestling because what was I going to do? I was so just depressed and bored just being out. But yeah, the injuries that some people face are really life-changing. I think it was some luchador from New York. I just can't remember the name, who I heard he also broke, I believe it was both ACLs. And he was like, yep, I'm going to be out for like 2 years because he had to have surgery on one, have it recover, and then have surgery on the other. And I'm like, that is just too damn long for me. I would not do 2 years.
That's hard it's hard to get back into it after 2 years, I would think.
It was hard for me to get back into it just after the couple weeks because even though it's only a couple weeks, I might have had maybe 1, 2, maybe even up to 4 shows that I had missed. But I missed
every
all
weekend's
that
a show.
training. Yeah, and I missed that lifestyle was gone for me and all the training and the routines. It was all gone. So I had to
traveling,
rebuilding from square one, and I knew how to do everything, but my body physically wouldn't let me. And it was a tough road, but I got back.
You stuck with it, and I think that's what makes the difference. I mean, it's easy to quit or walk away, but if it's something that's truly a passion, you got to stick with it and kind of get to that point that you can get back into it as hard as it takes, because there are fans sitting on the other side waiting for your return, believe it or not. Like when wrestlers get injured, people are waiting for their return.
Oh, yeah. Now, my return did not necessarily go as planned. It was at the Red Rose Rumble 3, and this was this past September, because I got injured in May, surgery in June, recover, and then, now we're beginning of September. And originally, I was not on any of the cards to do anything for this particular show, but it was my home promotion, and I really wanted to be part of something. So I get there, and there was one women's match, and it was Izzy Moreno versus Zeta Steele. That was advertised. And I was so excited to see it. I had wrestled Zeta before. She was a ton of fun. It was going to be my first time meeting Izzy, and I just really wanted to be there. So they get the call that Zeta had either missed a flight or just couldn't make it or something. And it was unfortunate, but it's wrestling. It happens. So they had asked me, are you okay to wrestle? Like, do you want to wrestle Izzy? Of course I want to wrestle Izzy Moreno. She's so cool and she's talented and she's just fun to be around. So I said yes, and I met up with her. We got to talking, and it was supposed to be still a surprise. And there was some sort of a miscommunication in the actual production scheme of things where the previous match, the one right before me, had just ended, and the ring announcer was supposed to announce that this next women's match scheduled for one fall, blah, blah, blah. Izzy's music was supposed to hit, and then she goes out, and then it was supposed to be like a pregnant pause. they were supposed to say, well, there's been a change of plans. And then here comes me, you know, with all of my music and everything. And it was supposed to be this huge pop. Something went wrong and the information had been exposed to everyone. So it was no longer a surprise. It was sad to me just because it was something that I had been banking like all of my everything on. But I still had a great match. Izzy's a fantastic competitor. So we had a ton of fun. It just wasn't the way that I had planned. It still happened. It was great. I finished the match. No one got hurt. My knee didn't give out. So it's a 10 out of 10 in my book.
Yeah, no, for sure. And but still the return was there.
It was. And it wasn't as planned, but nothing in wrestling ever really goes to plan.
No, I mean, isn't the card always subject to change?
Most of the time, yeah. If not all the time.
But
especially in the winter, everyone's either getting sick or hurt or travel or there's snow.
And even travel in the winter, the snow, the sickness, it will all change the card in seconds.
Mm-hmm. And that's why if you are not booked on a show and you go to a show to help out or anything like that, always bring your gear because you never know who doesn't show up.
Or you go to a show and the person was sick and just wanted to work it anyways, and then everybody's sick.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that happen.
And that's no fun either. I remember in the COVID times, that was really bad because, you know, you obviously got quarantined out. So, like, I remember the ref got sick, and then, like, half the people would get sick. You'd have a whole show be quarantined.
Yeah, so the entire time during the pandemic, it was so weird to watch everything because even for like WWE, the crowd was just a bunch of monitors. And like, yes, each one of those could in theory be a person, and that's great. But it was still weird because
but they were. If you watch the SummerSlam tape, you will see me sitting during the Sasha Banks match. I'm all dressed in this Hulk Hogan gear with this head bandana on. And I'm in one of the other matches. And I was really in there watching it in that Thunderdome. It was wild in that thing because you're watching it on a screen, but then all these people started messaging me going, I'm seeing you on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like,
it's just a wild concept when you're the wrestler in the ring. Because normally I'm also listening to the crowd of what they want or really what they hate. And I'm working with it. I get nothing back. So I'm like, all right, maybe this is working. Maybe this is not working. Maybe the crowd loves it. And maybe they hate it. But I don't know because they're not.
We were getting told prompts. We were like, cheer now, boo now, thumbs up, thumbs down. We were getting prompted. But I know in some of the indie shows that they did, they would have some of the wrestlers stand by or be ringside to stand in for the crowd to kind of get one side or the other going.
Yeah, it was a weird time. Now, I wasn't wrestling during the pandemic, but I watched a lot.
But I saw some creativity too. Like there was one show, I think it came out of the New York area. It had like pro wrestling times, like classical music. It was shot cinematically. It was made into like an art piece. Yeah. A lot of things got different kinds of wrestling that I think made the industry broader.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to work a show or a match or an event or anything when you have like these limitations, but it can get really weird if it's not done correctly. Because, you know, I will sometimes yell at the crowd. And if I do that just out of habit and I'm yelling to a TV monitor,
well, that's
some
the thing.
Stories did work.
That's the thing. I mean, it's one thing yelling at the hard cam while you got fans around. It's another thing when it's just the hard cam and nothing else.
Yeah, like you know, old Stu there behind the camera is not going to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if I'm screaming at him.
Let me ask you, what has been some of the challenges in being a pro wrestler? What are some of the like mental challenges even that you've had to overcome?
Oh, everything. Especially the mental challenges because you know yourself as a person and you may or may not know your character. And even if you know your character inside and out, there's always going to be someone that hates it. And that's okay. Like sometimes that's the goal. But getting down on yourself, maybe you're not doing a move correctly. Like for me, I can't jump very well, and I'm not getting up on the top rope anytime soon again. So when I would have to do a match or even try to learn something at a training that involved anything that I really can't do very well, I'm getting down on myself a lot because I want to do it. I want to be able to do it, but maybe I just can't. So you can get into these really depressive ruts. I mean, me personally, I was. So it's hard to get out of them. And then you have to mentally, alongside physically, but you also have to mentally juggle trying to fit wrestling into your everyday life. Because sure, the match is only 8 minutes, but the show is, 2-3 hours long. And then you have to prep for the show. And then you have to go over your match. You got to sell merch. You got to do all these things. You got to travel.
I mean, let's face it, the whole match is about a month in promotion-wise because you got to build your story up, fight your character online, deal with all of that.
Yep. And there are some promotions.
It's month to month. In each promotion, it's month to month.
Yeah, but there are some promotions that will just say, okay, you are fighting this person, go have fun. And maybe there's no story to it.
No.
Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. I've been involved in a few storylines where I already knew my opponent and things just kind of went a little bit smoother because I had an idea of what was going to happen. But yeah, it takes a lot out of you because in theory, you are being a completely different person your entire life. So, or at least for your whole wrestling career. So I am me when I, go home and I go to work and I go to a friend's house. I'm just me. But then when I'm wrestling or thinking about wrestling or doing anything for wrestling, I really have to be my character. And it's like living two lives. It can get to you.
No, it can. And I've talked to a lot of wrestlers. Obviously, I've interviewed a lot of people. They'll say, their character is just an extension of themselves, or, just an extended version of themselves. So it's kind of easy to grasp. Would you say that's something you did, or did you try to think outside of yourself when you created your character of who you wanted to be?
So that was actually, funny enough, something that I talked to my therapist about because I was struggling in the wrestling world to find out who Zoey Cannon was. But then I was also struggling of when can I shut this off? Like when can I shut off whoever Zoey Cannon is? And how do I know who I am? So through a series of, difficult questions and things, Zoey Cannon is not an extension of myself. It is just me.
Perfect.
And that really stems yes, you will not normally catch me on the side of the road, smiling and jumping up and down and be like, "Hi, I'm Zoey Cannon." Because that's more of just the wrestling aspect of who I am. That's how I connect with the fans, especially the little kids. I love doing that. But the Zoey Cannon that you see in the ring, the mannerisms, the attitude, the sass, that's kind of me in real life.
You're just a little bit more mundane. You just tone it down a little.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a way, yes, it is an extension of who I am, but it's also not as much of an extension as you may think. Because there are times when I'm quiet and I'm sitting and reading a book and I'm, playing on my phone or I'm watching TV or I'm out to dinner or something. But that character is still me.
That's why I just became Versace Stoner permanently. I figure I smoke, I wear Versace. I'm just going to become it permanently. I'm just going to change my life, and that's it. I can't keep going back and forth. I can only be one person. And this is who I am.
Yes. And that is a perfect example of why I didn't want Zoey Cannon to be necessarily an extension of me. I just wanted it to be me. Because I can't keep going back and forth. I can't be, the super happy Zoey Cannon one day and then, just the regular old me working at my job. And so I try to make everything that you see in the ring me in real life. I'm kind of turning it off. I'm kind of not turning it off. I just want it to be me.
And obviously now in today's world, kayfabe isn't as important. But if it was like 80s and 90s, you'd have to be you 100% even in public. They would expect
Yep.
you to be jumping up and down.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Kayfabe is really hard, especially with as much social media as we have, because I am friends with a lot of my opponents online.
Oh yeah.
And I follow what they do. Sometimes they're my opponent for this particular company, but then at another company, we're tag teaming together.
But I
So
mean,
it's hard.
isn't that like pro sports? I mean, don't you think the football players, as much as they have this competition against each other, some of them are friends on the other teams?
Yeah, some of them are siblings or family
I
members.
mean,
And
I know when I grew up, they made these rivalries almost like wars. Like these people are kind of mortal enemies. But you know, as time progressed, they just became more of rivalries and more of a sportsmanship and more of a "I'm better than you" kind of thing,
the
rather than
sportsmanship
one must
is
destroy
very
the other.
important. Yeah, if I mean, and the other thing to think about when it comes to something like that is, let's say it's me versus you. If we really honestly hated each other, if we really did not like each other, we're enemies, there's a very good chance that I'm not going to pick on you online because I just don't want to deal with you. And then if I see you in the ring, we're going for it, and we're going to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, but I'm the opposite. If I don't like you, I'm not going to accept the book, and I'm going to be like, I don't like her. I'm not working her.
Exactly. And but then when it comes to like the friendly competition and things, like for example, Journey Burke. I have fought Journey Burke a multitude of times, and I will fight her again and again and again because it's so much fun. She's been a great opponent for me. She raises the bar every single time that we meet, and she challenges me to do better for myself. And we're learning new moves, and we're still going back to the basics of what we know of each other, which is great. But I will always pick on her online if I can, because I respect her and adore her. And without her, who is Zoey Cannon? Zoey Cannon is just a dude. Zoey Cannon can't be a pro wrestler fighting another pro wrestler if that other pro wrestler doesn't exist, or if I really don't like them.
And that's great to have an opponent or somebody in your wrestling universe that can bring you to that level, that can take you and challenge you over the course of your career, and almost have it like that, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels rivalry, where they're just trying to outdo each other, but yet they're making each other better too. And in your case, you guys actually like each other, so there's admiration and there's inspiration. You guys inspire each other. And it's great to see that, because that's how I think wrestlers grow. You can't grow singly by yourself. You need to elevate with others. Others can elevate you. Your opponent is more important than you think, and you're more important to them than you think.
And
Everything just blends so weirdly in wrestling that to the person that doesn't know inner workings is just like, that makes no sense until you actually hear it explained all the way out.
Yes. And I've been told before by, the higher ups way above me that, this is still a competition. And although that is true, if I can't bring other people up to my level, then I have no competition. Because if I all of a sudden go from 0 to 60 and everyone else is still stuck at 3, who am I fighting? Nobody and you're where I'm always the winner, for example, like me being any particular wrestler. Like they might really like me for a hot minute, but if I don't have worthy competition, what am I doing?
Oh, and the old saying is you're only as good as your opponent. So you want to fight someone that's almost better than you, more known than you, that could beat you, that you have a chance to lose. You want to be challenged when you step into that ring.
Yeah, because if I'm just fighting, a person that is meek and very young and has no muscle, and I could, like, in theory, really just knock them out with one punch, nobody wants to see that for a wrestling match. But if I take that same person and I kind of work with them and they eventually become bigger and better, then it's like, absolutely, let's keep this going. Because it's no fun being on top and having no one else around.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's lonely at the top. It's not even, it sounds nice in theory, but once you're up there, it's like, well, wait a minute now. What am I
Yeah.
supposed to do here?
If I could give anything to pro wrestling, I would want to help out the people, especially the people that are just starting out, because that's usually the level of the people that I'm talking about, the ones that really don't have a lot of fight in them yet. I would want to just be able to help them grow into the best version that they can be. And if that makes me, everyone, oh, that makes you a jobber, that makes it whatever. I don't care.
Well, I mean,
For everyone.
look what John Cena just did for the company. Look what he just did for
Mhm.
Walter. I mean, sometimes it's not about winning. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's about the bigger picture, and especially when you get into a veteran stage, it's about helping and teaching that new generation. And like you said, some people don't even know where to find the fight for themselves. So you got to kind of direct and show them.
And speaking of that whole John Cena thing, there's so many people that absolutely hated that finish and the way that he went out.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Do you know why it was perfect?
Because he smiled.
Because it gave everyone something to talk about. And
Well-
why is this right? Why is this wrong? If he just kind of won and went about the day, then it's over.
Well, we knew
doing
that
what
was
he
going to
did,
happen.
it
We figured that was going
continued.
to happen. But the fact that he smiled and let himself go, it shows that he was done and he was ready to give on and pass on his inspiration. He still had his moment after. He did not need to win.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you understand what pro wrestling does and how to honor in the next generation of superstars, he did it very well. Because in the older days, I don't think that a Hulk Hogan would have passed the torch that way. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah,
He would have went
it
out
would have
winning
been
and walked
different.
out.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for each kind of a match, each kind of a finish, each kind of an everything.
That was poetic justice. I really
Yeah.
think that was beautifully done. I mean, it got my kid emotional. He was sitting there crying. And then he looks at me, he's like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "I'm not crying, you're crying." And everybody's crying.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a good match because it just brought back everything. It brings back your childhood. Triple H coming out, showing on the screen, showing the kid. It makes you think of yourself as a kid. It makes you think when, you were in the back and you wanted to be a wrestler. You're playing with wrestling with your cousins or whoever. You said you got brothers. Maybe you wrestled them. I had cousins. I don't got family. So brothers anyways or sisters. So I wrestled my cousins. I remember all those times doing all these moves I see on TV and just bringing it back to that just kind of fun era of we're kids. This is wrestling.
Yeah, if you look at John Cena, especially from that video after the match, and you just kind of look at the journey that he had, it doesn't always have to be fighting uphill both ways in the snow. Sometimes it's just a path. And like my pro wrestling journey, when I started training, really at any place, but especially down in Pennsylvania, I was like 230, 240 pounds. I was a big Shirley. And I could not move and I couldn't do anything. And I'm very short and I have short limbs and I had a lot against me, but I was like, I'm going to try it anyway, because why not? Like I have nothing else going for me. So I tried and I tried and I lost some weight. I gained some muscle. I got a little bit faster. I got a little bit more knowledgeable. And I had no idea going into it anything about wrestling psychology at all. And I got to learn it. So it's another way that I can, express myself. And even though I didn't know where I was going or how long I would be wrestling, I gave myself one goal and one goal only. And that was just to debut. And when I get asked by people, is your goal to go to WWE? Is it to go to TNA, to AEW, to any other company? No, that's not the goal. They're cool. Those are cool goals to have. Those are cool things to do. But those are never the goal, because all I ever wanted to do was just debut. And I did it. And that was a very important day for me. So
now just wrestling is the goal. Just showing up and seeing where it brings you.
Anything after that is just, sprinkles on the cake. That's cool. I want to be able to wrestle new people in new places and go to these new promotions and just experience it all. Because even though I might touch on different companies, like when I got to do there was at Fight Life, for example, I got to be in their pre-show match. and it was like this big rumble type. And I didn't win, and that's totally fine. But I got to wrestle with all brand new faces, some faces that I knew from before, but have never wrestled before. And in a new place, in a new state, with a new crowd, and it was a lot of fun. And the owner, Frankie, I mean, he was phenomenal from beginning to end. He was very calm and collected, and he made it feel like this was the place to be. So I experienced it, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Now, you know, when you see me as a fan at this company, you're just like, yeah, who the hell is this lady? And then you move on with your life. Me, I'm like, this was awesome. And this is a staple in my wrestling career. And then maybe I'll come back. Maybe I'll move on. Who knows? But I can do anything I want because that's my journey. And I'm just a blip on someone else's radar. And that's fine.
But yeah, I mean, you're to be honest, you only have to be happy with yourself. You don't really need anybody else to be happy with you to be happy. As long as
Correct.
you're happy. That's all that really matters. That's where self-happiness is so important. 'Cause if you're not happy with yourself, then you'll never be happy. It doesn't matter if everybody's happy for you. If you're not happy for you, you'll still be miserable.
Oh, yeah. And I have found some of the saddest and happiest versions of myself in pro wrestling. And some of the happiest moments came from just experiencing life, going and hanging out with my friends, doing cool shows. And I didn't even have to win.
I could probably say the same, even just on the fan side, doing the podcasting side, doing the traveling side, you know, going from one show in Maine on a Saturday to doing the Jersey show on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Doing the same treads as some of the wrestlers are doing, seeing some of the same faces back to back and you know, 2 different states apart. It was fun meeting people, meeting the fans, meeting other wrestlers, meeting promoters, talking to promoters, joining promotions, helping out, being able to commentate on sometimes. Again, starting my podcasting journey, making reels, getting reels and shorts of you know, indie stars into the millions. I remember my first short that took off was a very young Ricky Smokes versus Becca at the Chaotic Training last show they did, and the video took off to like 10 million views. And I was so happy for them because they were just starting their careers coming out of the pandemic, and they got 10 million views off my page. That's great.
That's phenomenal.
And that was the whole reason for the VSW podcast. I was going to these indie shows and I was seeing them, and you know, we all know some indie shows draw 20 people, some draw hundreds. It all just depends. But some of these shows that I was going to that were drawing the 20, 40 people, they weren't necessarily bad, but people just didn't know about them and weren't talking about them. I just wanted to put them on the map. I put some of the superstars on the map because to me they were cool. Again, coming from an old school, you know, indie wrestling scene where I just see some guys that were wannabes, it was totally different now seeing like someone like Dick Lane coming out with a total gear and doing these crazy moves that you'd never think of and just making wrestling fun again.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling needs to be fun.
And when you keep it fun and don't put so much emphasis on everything else, you can just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, there are definitely some serious moments, and keeping everyone safe is always serious. But if you're not having fun and your entire show is being driven by like this old, not even old school, but like this old military mentality, if you will, of like basically like you have a drill sergeant and not a booker or a promoter or an owner, and it's just do the match, don't screw up. Do this the right way. Okay, well, like, dude, I run around and scream for like 8 minutes. Like, this is not that serious.
Yeah.
But when you add in, and it doesn't even need to be goofy to be fun. Sometimes it's just fun. But when you add in those fun elements and like Stan Styles, I will wrestle him from now until the end of time, if allowed, you know, because
he's one of the great. I fell in love with just the whole gimmick, and he's the reason why I actually ended up at that show. Besides Tony Spencer inviting me for our birthdays because we have similar birthdays, I also I've been meaning to see Stan. He had been running the IGB for a while out in Jersey, and when I had interviewed him, and he was bringing it to Mass, and he was bringing it to Widowmaker. I had never been to Focus, but I saw them colliding, and I went to it, and I just fell in love. I fell in love with the whole area.
Yeah,
and I would go back to see Stan, and I would go back to see everybody else, and then I, you know, followed the Focus Pro stories.
Yeah, and Tony Spencer's a great guy. I know that he's been to a bunch of different promotions. I believe he's doing Proving Ground.
Yeah, he does Proving Ground right now.
And Elle Valentine, who I've wrestled before. She was phenomenal. But
They have
you
a
know,
good They always have a good rivalry. Those
oh
two.
yeah, and knowing that he can do that match, especially in an intergender setting rather, I love it. Now, intergender wrestling is something that I enjoy. Sure, I love fighting my girls, especially when I was working Bell to Bell, which is an all women's promotion. I got to fight some of the best women on the scene, especially on the East Coast. But doing intergender matches, whether I'm fighting Stan Styles, whether I was fighting Smiley, JS Hawthorne, all these guys that they can bring it and they don't do anything. And this is one of the things that I really love about them is they don't do anything that they know would really, really suck. So like I'm probably not getting chopped, which
Yeah.
I thank them a lot for that. They're still giving me a hell of a fight. We're still wrestling, but we're having fun.
I love intergender, and when it's done right, I think it's some of the best wrestling. Because let's face it, in the world of wrestling, the universe of wrestling, there's only one thing, that's equality. There really is no women and men. They're just fighters. There's these two combatants that are going to go head to head, and they all have equal strength.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I look at pro wrestling. That's how I always looked at it. Yes, there's been a women's division, but growing up with China, seeing her dominate over the men, it brought the realism fact. Because in the real world, there are men that can kick guys' asses every single time they fight.
Oh yeah, and it's such a fine line because I think that women's professional wrestling is, I don't want to use the term sacred, but it's very special. But I also think it's just as good as regular men's professional wrestling. And intergender wrestling is like the happy medium between the two, because women in professional wrestling, I think, should be, a little bit more protected than how they are at the moment. And that's not, that's not everyone, but there are some things that we can all definitely as a community do better with.
Well, I mean, I hate, I'll be honest, I hate the fact that female wrestling always gets sexualized. I don't go out to see a female wrestler because of the way they look. If they look a certain way, that's great. But I go out there because I like their character. I like their freaking, what they're bringing to the show. I always look at it as, they're a performer in the wrestling show, similar to I'd watch a movie as an actress or an actor. I'm not going out there to try to get a day to try to, goo goo and gaga over what I'm watching. Some people do that, and it makes me feel awkward. Even seeing the online posts, I try to stay offline a lot now because the online posts are really creepy, some of them.
Oh, yeah. I just put up on Facebook a couple people that think that it's super fun to send me not so friendly comments or messages. And, it is what it is. It's just how the universe works. People, whether they're man or women,
they both get them. You guys both, everybody gets them. The guys get them too. And that's even weirder. Some of the guys' requests, I've seen some of those messages come through to me.
Oh, yeah.
They've sent them to me, to show me. It's just like, what is going on here? But
oh yeah, I mean, people are bold and they're gonna do what they do,
especially with the internet. That makes anybody bold because you're hiding behind a screen. They're not going to come to the show and say this. They're not going to do it at the show. But on the internet, hey, they're a superstar. But
I will say, I usually crowd myself with a lot of fantastic people, especially men and women at shows. So the moment that a fan gets a little bit too weird, I look at any of my guys or girls and I just tell them, whether it's a safe word or just like, hey, can you help? And they always come over and they help because they get it.
And now working in that small group, does it also kind of keep the weird wrestlers out of your reach too?
Mm-hmm.
If things are kind of looking a little awkward with some of the newer talent that come in, or somebody that's a one-up or something, you can kind of give a keyword, hey, there's something not right here.
Yeah, I find that if you bind yourself with very trustworthy people that are not going to kind of pull the weird things with you, and you won't pull the weird things with them. Just find your people. And it's even better when you find those people and you all travel to shows together. Like I have about 4 or 5 guys that I trust my life with, and they don't try anything, nor would I try anything with them. And we
that's the true brotherhood of pro wrestling, though. That's what it was supposed to be built upon.
Yeah, they treat me like one of the guys, and I love it.
Well, somewhere down the line, I'm sure humanity has twisted it in certain aspects, or people have twisted it because people are twisted. But the overall projective is there is this brotherhood, there is this sacred kind of line. We are all entertainers, we're all performers, we're working together. Let's have a good
Mhm.
time. We're not here for all the other stuff.
I would think that it's the same for any person in any other professional sport. So I'm sure football players, they kind of band together to keep each other safe, especially on your own team. And musicians, same kind of idea. There's always going to be that camaraderie that you can trust, whether your
Yeah.
circle is one person or 15 people or whatever it may be.
You need the
You're
little
always gonna find
entourage,
them.
honestly, nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
But it keeps you safe. It keeps it protected. It keeps a barrier up that you don't want to. Unfortunately, in this today's world, you don't want to let everybody in at face value because not everybody comes at you at face value.
Yep. One of the biggest lessons I've learned in pro wrestling is that not everybody's your friend. And I've actually said that on a different podcast because some people are coming in and they're cheering and hooting and hollering and they're like, oh my God, Zoe Cannon, you're so fantastic. And then come to find out, they were trying to figure out how to make your downfall happen much sooner.
Oh, I concur. I've had that happen multiple times with people, and it's same thing. Podcast world, wrestling world. You get to a certain point, you're doing better than somebody. Somebody will take a jab. Somebody will take a shot. Somebody will want to take you down,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll come with you with a smile on their face, like they're mafioso, with like, "Hey, here's a cannoli," and then shoot you in the head. It happens.
Yeah.
But you
It's
kind of
unfortunate.
find those people that don't do that, and you gravitate, like you said. I found a few very good, solid people that I do trust in wrestling and trust in other aspects of my life and my podcasting, and that I just stick with that, and that's my circle. And if I go out of it, cool. If things start to look weird, they will guide me back in and say no.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have the people that I do trust stay in my corner. And if I have anything come up, I usually can go to them and, get it all out there. And it's fine. But the people that, especially the people that just get into pro wrestling for their own personal reasons, whether they want to date a wrestler or they want to just try to fight someone or they want to do XYZ, whatever it is, the people that come in and don't do things the right way, they eventually get karma kind of served to them, and it doesn't have anything to do with me usually.
No, but I do frown upon that because I think it takes away from every hardworking individual that is going in there for the right reasons. That want to entertain the fans, that want to better themselves. Some people go in there as a form of cardio work. Some people go in there as a form of athleticism. Some people do treat it like a real sport. Some people go in because of the drama aspect. They like the theater aspect. They want to get into Hollywood even, so they learn how to fight so they can do stunts. There's so many reasons that wrestling can work, and the three reasons you just mentioned are the three reasons that will absolutely fail. If you're going in there to try to get a date, forget about it. That's just weird and creepy to me. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a wrestling show is not a bar scene. People there aren't really single. They're there to wrestle. They're not there to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing as a fan. I would feel. I mean, I'm married now, but when I was single, I'd feel awkward if somebody hit on me at a wrestling show. There's kids present. It's a kids show. It's like it's not the atmosphere for that, And the same thing. Some people just want to fight. Yeah, cool. Then join a boxing club or something. Join something that you can go and let your anger out. But the wrestling ring is not it because you're not supposed to hurt anybody. And when you go in with that attitude, someone's gonna get hurt.
Oh yeah, but I always laugh whenever like a scenario like one of those two would happen. So if I'm at a show and someone came over and they are using this opportunity to try to get a date, and I just kind of look at them like, dude, you paid to see me. That's weird enough, like, thank you. I hope you're enjoying the show. I hope that you enjoy the other matches, but like, no, this is not, the roster is not your Tinder for the night. This is not going to happen. So I always laugh at it because like, it's silly. It's funny. Oh, you think that this is for you, brother? It is not. And then when I get the other side of that, where people come in and they're like, yeah, I just want to fight. Well, let me tell you about the greatest schools that you can go to learn how to do this for possibly a living. Let me help you. Sure, I'll fight you. Just maybe not in like a Wendy's parking lot.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's creepy now how like AI is able to like take fans and bring their like fan experience to a whole nother level with
Oh
their
yeah.
pictures?
Ugh. I've never used AI. I've never used GPT, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've never personally used any of these things because I'm very old school. But I also don't want to use it because it's giving such like a false sense of reality for
See,
some
now,
things. Like
for
seeing
some,
old
you,
pictures of people move, that's cool. But using it to, well, who was it? I can't remember which female wrestler it was, but there was a fan that used
yeah.
AI to make it look like they were either kissing or he was kissing
Yeah,
her.
and it's all over. It's all over. Ex different wrestlers, kissing the people they're with and stuff. To me, I mean, I love AI. I think it has a purpose. It has a point. That's not the point of it. You want to use
Correct.
it to create something. You want to use it in a film because you can't afford to go onto a set and a scene or something, or you want to see how something would visually look that's in your head. Coolio. You want to do cover art. You want to do a sketch drawing. You want to, ask Chat GPT if your script is good. You want to run your character through them, see if there's any holes. They'll watch a match and tell you if they thought there was any issues. They'll critique things. But to make somebody else physically move, I think that brought it to another creepy level. And it's just like, it's always us wrestling fans that get this kind of creepy stigma that we're always just trying to like, I don't know. Like I remember when I went to a meet and greet for Alexa Bliss, and there was just these 50 and 60-year-olds in the line screaming, "I want to marry you, marry me," and just acting absurd. And I'm just
Yeah,
like,
people get weird.
I'm not a wrestling fan over here. I'm just it's embarrassing at some point.
Yeah, it is. I mean, now having some people do things like that where they're like, Zoe Cannon, I want to marry you. Sometimes I actually use that as different ways to incorporate my character or to elevate my character. Just because it's something that's so ridiculous or even something so common that
Yeah, but we were
just
on we
use to
were
my
on the
advantage.
street. We were on the street at a meet and greet in the middle of Boston. This wasn't like at a show or anything. We were at a Cricket Wireless waiting to get an autograph signed, and these homeless people are screaming they want to marry her.
That's a little strange.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. And they jumped in line to get the autograph too.
That's
But
even weirder.
yeah, and it's just kind of the dark side, I guess, of the fans. But again, I try not to view it. I try to view wrestling even now. So with I have a child that's a little bit older. Weekends are a little bit more tougher. So I watch a lot of IWTV. So I lose the personal fan to fan base, but I get to still see and enjoy the actual matches, and I get to do actually one of my other favorite things is that's listen to the commentary.
If you have
Uh,
a good commentary team, that can really elevate your entire show. Because
yeah.
I've listened to shows that have horrible commentary, and it's yep. So they just did a pile driver.
See,
They
and
slapped that guy, and it's so bland. And then you have the guys that even go way too far, and they think that they're the stars of the show. But if
see,
you
I
have
couldn't. I
good
didn't have the double
commentary,
V.
ugh.
I didn't have the double VCR when I was a kid. So what I would do is I'd rent the wrestling tape, but I'd only record the audio, and then I would listen to just the audio later. But the commentary was on point back then with like Monsoon and stuff and Bobby the Brain. So you understand the whole match back to forth. And it was just as entertaining as watching. I'd go to sleep at night listening to that.
Yeah. If you can listen to a match and still get the same feeling, then you're doing it right.
Oh yeah. Got a few more questions for you. Let me ask you, so what's 26 looking like for Zoey Cannon?
So far, I have a couple dates lined up with a couple different places. I am going to be going down to North Carolina in March, doing an all women's event over there.
Nice.
Then I am doing, let's see, I have a couple places locally or locally-ish that I got lined up. I'm going to be going out to Charleroi, Pennsylvania, which is near Pittsburgh. I'm supposed to be going down to Delaware for United States Wrestling. I have Susquehanna Wrestling Organization, SWO, which is down where near I live. Nothing too crazy though.
Well, the year, you never know where it can take you, and that's the beautiful part about wrestling. You never know where the journey or who can see you, what show you could end up on that can bring you to the next show, and so forth and so on.
Oh yeah.
You know, because then all of a sudden you see a show that pops up over here. You're like, hey, I want to be part of this. You got about a car full of people that are going, and next thing you know, you're off in a new state or a new country even.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride no matter what, but it's going to be full of more surprises than 2025. Hopefully better surprises, preferably not like surgery surprises.
No,
'cause
we don't want no
that's-
surgery surprise, no injuries. We
No,
want
I
good
think I've met my
surprises.
surgery quota for a while.
Couple belts, maybe. I don't know, some titles.
Yeah, I would love to have some more titles. That would be nice. I don't need to be like Mercedes Monet and having, you know, a whole fleet of people having to carry these titles. But if I could win something, I would like to.
A little something, just a little bling, just a little
Yeah.
bit, you know. Where did you do the whole social media thing? You do like Instagram or such?
I'm more active on Instagram. My Instagram is Zoey Cannon with 1_ at the end. On Facebook, I'm just regular Zoey Cannon. I don't have Twitter anymore because I didn't know how to use it, and I just kept getting a lot of pop-ups, so I just got rid of it.
Yeah, it's not even worth it.
It's not the same.
The things that show up on there isn't even worth seeing. It's just every day. Probably what Vic was on when he saw something. You see things that just kind of twist your head. It's like, why do I like wrestling? Because somebody says some of the most absurdest things or the weirdest things, you know. People wishing real world harm on wrestlers and such because they lost or won a match and just bizarre
Oh,
shit
yeah.
that's just like, shut it all down. Stay away
Yeah.
from the negativity.
I'm not a huge social media person. Like I'm the average old lady that looks up pictures of cats because it's funny. But I don't like I've never TikToked. I don't have a TikTok. I don't know how it works. I just watch things online and I see pictures of cats and I get fun recipes and there we go. But social media, it's so important for being a professional wrestler.
Nowadays,
Because
yes.
especially nowadays, because you have to get your information out there. How else was that North Carolina promotion supposed to know that I exist? How else am I supposed to know what POWW, PAL Wrestling in Fox Lake, Illinois is going to do next
And
week?
between the shorts, the rails, people's footages, you get your footage out there so much easier. You don't got to sit there and make a tape anymore of all your moves. You can
Yeah.
just showcase a few matches that's, you know, some promoters have put up, and it's like, here you go.
One of the downsides, though, that I personally have found is that because there is such an oversaturation of social media, there's so many promotions that do not hire either ringside photographers and or ringside cameras.
Yeah, you
So-
know, I've noticed a lot of promotions actually, and I hate to say this, and it's a pet peeve of mine. Don't film their shows. And being a
Yes.
videographer, being somebody heavy into video, I just don't see what the purpose of that is.
Yeah, if something big happens, we want to have that on camera.
But
Whether
you
we're
have
the
you
wrestler or
have a
the
YouTube,
fan.
you have your own TV network basically that you can air your product on.
Yeah, and IWTV is so good because they obviously record and then they also retain all of that footage so you can go back and watch it and then you have all the different camera angles. But when you go to another promotion, like there's promotions that I go to, there's no ringside photographer, there's no ringside cameraman.
I
So
got brought into one promotion as a you know, as a commentator. The guy didn't have any mics. He was going to run them through the PA system. I said, we can't do that. That would be for the audience. Where are we recording this to? He goes, recording it? He goes, well, I guess put it to your phone. So he has us talking to his phone, and I see some kid with a camera walking around the ring, but he's holding it like this.
yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, if you don't have the professional tools, that's understandable if you can't afford them and
But there's
things like
people
that.
out, but honestly, in this day and age, somebody on the roster knows somebody that can get you those tools without taking you to the cleaners.
Yeah, having someone in plain clothes with their iPhone out to record the show, that can give such a bad precedence to other fans of, hey, I want to go up and record this too. And maybe they get up there and maybe they record and maybe they get way too close to the side of the ring. And next thing you know, you got my boot coming at their face because they were.
You didn't know they were there. Exactly.
Yeah, if it's not treated professionally, it won't be worked professionally.
No, and that's the problem, I think, because there's some people that have the greatest attentions, but they think they can cut corners, and they cut the corners, and they don't realize that when they cut the corners, so don't the wrestlers.
Yeah, and like I understand that it can be a very expensive thing over time, having to hire someone to do sometimes the work, but there's always someone that wants to do photography or videography. It's a matter of finding the right people.
Listen, you can always go to a local high school and you can ask if they have a film and media department, and they will send a kid down there that wants to record and wants to broadcast and will go down and film your show. I hate to say that, but it's true. There's always somebody that will be wanting to be part of it.
Yeah, make it exist first and then make it better later.
Exactly. There's always ways of doing it. Well, I thank you very much for the time, Zoey, for coming on. I do look forward to seeing what you do in 26. We're hoping no injuries at all.
No, I am hoping to wrestle more in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I would love to be back at Focus Pro. I would love to be on a main.
You hear that, Derek? You better bring her back to Focus Pro.
I had so much fun there. I would love to be back on a main card for Fight Life. I would love to work with Proving Ground, and there's just so many other companies up there that you don't get that same kind of feeling down in Pennsylvania. Nothing wrong with Pennsylvania.
No, Derek runs. I like Proving Ground. Derek runs a really good show, and they're another show that just kept evolving over time. It started one way, and it got so much bigger and better over time, just through hard work.
Yeah, and sometimes, me personally, just being someone that has been to multiple states to work multiple shows, the Massachusetts and just overall New England fan base is so much more receptive to the wrestling because I can go out there and say some of the dumbest things and they'll be like, hey, or boo. Whereas if I say that same thing in like Montana, they're just like, okay.
No, I'll be honest. We're all freaking marks out here. We all want to be part of the show. We're just happy that you're talking to us.
And you know what? That's half of what we enjoy. I mean, at least what I enjoy. I can't speak for all wrestlers, but if I know that I am doing my job well enough where I am getting some sort of a reaction or emotion out of you, that's what I want. Because if I go out there and I'm pulling out all my moves and I'm doing the beached whale and the Amish motorcycle and whatever other stupid name move that I have, and you're just like, all right, then I'm not doing my job well enough. But if I go out there and I'm fighting Stan Styles and he proposes with a ring pop, and the next thing you know, he yanks me down by my hair and people are like, oh my God, then I'm performing and I'm doing the right thing.
Hey, what's up?
Bro,
Guess that's my roll call.
come to dinner.
Dinner time already?
It ended already.
Oh, no. Missed it.
You missed dinner. Come upstairs.
Oh, man.
You on?
Well, thank you very much, Zoey. And like I said, I can't wait to see what you do in 26. Hopefully Focus Pro, but Massachusetts, I like to go to shows. Maybe I'll see you in Jersey or wherever else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody at home. And as always, support indie wrestling. Versace Center out.
Like and subscribe.